June 23, 2018, northern Thailand. The monsoon season had arrived with its unforgiving rains, carving rivers through the jungle and flooding the lowlands. Deep beneath the Doi Nang non-mountain range lay the Tham Luang cave, a labyrinth of twisting passageways, chambers of stone, and hidden pools of darkness. It was here that 12 young boys, members of the Wild Boars soccer team, along with their assistant coach, sought adventure after practice. What began as innocent curiosity soon turned into the most perilous ordeal of their lives. Within hours, rainwater surged into the cave, sealing exits with rising floods. The boys were pushed deeper inside, retreating from the rushing currents, their flashlight beams flickering against jagged walls. By nightfall, they had vanished from the world above. Families waited, days stretched into nights. The jungle outside became a staging ground for a desperate search, as parents clutched photographs of their sons, praying their names would not become memorials. The conflict was clear: time versus nature. Oxygen levels in the cave dwindled as water climbed higher. The boys, hungry and shivering, huddled together on a muddy ledge, whispering reassurances to each other. Outside, Thailand's elite Navy SEALs, engineers, and international rescue teams debated the impossible. The cave was no simple tunnel, it was a deadly maze. Narrow choke points, submerged passages, and zero visibility turned each meter into a trial of survival. When two British divers, Rick Stanton and John Volanthen, finally located the boys on July 2nd, 9 days after they disappeared, the world held its breath. The footage of thin, fragile faces illuminated by a diver's headlamp spread across the globe. "How many of you?" the diver asked. 13, a boy answered. "Brilliant," came the reply. Hope surged, but the triumph of discovery was only the beginning. For rescuers, the greater question remained: how to bring them out alive. The cave was still flooding. Heavy rains threatened at any moment to trap rescuers themselves. The boys could not swim, let alone navigate the pitch-black tunnels filled with sharp turns and suffocating water. Even seasoned divers admitted the cave was among the most treacherous they had ever faced. A Thai Navy SEAL would later die during the mission, proof of the danger that awaited at every corner. Desperation drove creativity. Some proposed drilling from above, others suggested waiting months until the rainy season ended. But the oxygen inside the chamber where the boys sat was already plummeting. Waiting meant death. The only option left was unthinkable: to sedate the boys. One by one, they would be rendered unconscious, strapped into makeshift stretchers, fitted with full-face masks, and pulled through the cave's underwater corridors by divers, an idea as daring as it was terrifying. This was not just a rescue, it was a gamble with fate itself. If a mask shifted, if a boy awoke in panic, if the drugs wore off too soon, lives would be lost. Yet courage meant risk, and in that dark cave, courage was the only light left. The plan was as audacious as it was dangerous. Richard Harry Harris, an Australian anesthetist and cave diver, was flown into Thailand, his expertise uniquely suited for the impossible task. Harris was asked to sedate the boys one by one, to send them into a controlled unconsciousness that would shield them from terror and panic during the hours-long underwater journey. It was a decision that weighed heavily on his conscience. The world watched, but inside Harris's heart echoed a single question: what if one dies in my hands? The boys, however, trusted. They listened quietly as the divers explained the unexplainable. They would be given injections, placed in the water, and carried through the flooded veins of the earth. There was no resistance, no fear in their eyes, only faith in the men who had come to save them. Perhaps it was youth, or exhaustion, or a simple acceptance that their lives were already on the edge of night. On July 8th, the first operation began. One child was sedated and fitted with a full-face mask, his small body strapped to a stretcher. The cave swallowed him, his lifeline resting in the hands of foreign divers. For hours, the rescuers maneuvered through narrow choke points, sometimes removing their own tanks to squeeze past the rock while dragging the unconscious boy behind them. In the pitch black, with water pressing on every side, there was no room for hesitation. Every breath was counted, every movement deliberate, and then it worked. The first boy emerged from the cave alive. Relief surged through the rescue camp, though no cheers erupted. The task was not over. 12 more lives remained in the darkness. For the next 3 days, the process repeated with meticulous precision. Each dive was a race against weather, against oxygen, against the crushing possibility of failure. A storm could break at any moment, flooding the cave entirely, erasing every effort. The world outside followed each update as though watching history unfold in real time. Nations held their breath. Journalists crowded the muddy camp, families knelt in prayer, and strangers thousands of miles away wept as if the boys were their own. For once, global divisions seemed to fade, replaced by a shared yearning that children trapped in the earth might come home. By July 10th, against all odds, the last boy and the assistant coach were brought out. Exhausted divers collapsed in the mud. Parents embraced their sons through tears. In that moment, the impossible had become reality, the kind of story whispered for generations, proof of what humanity can achieve when hope, science, and courage converge. But triumph was not without cost. Navy SEAL Seaman Kunin, who had lost his life delivering oxygen, became a symbol of sacrifice. His memory stood as a reminder that every miracle is paid for in blood and devotion. The boys, though fragile and malnourished, survived. Their story did not end in tragedy, but in a rare union of the world's will. The legacy of the Thai cave rescue endures not only in its outcome, but in the questions it left behind. Was it bravery or madness to risk sedation in such a place? Was it science or faith or simply fate that carried those children through the darkness? Perhaps it was all three. What is certain is that in July 2018, deep beneath a mountain in Thailand, the world bore witness to the triumph of human resolve over nature's most merciless trial. And as the cave returned to silence, its waters receding into stone, one truth remained. Even in the darkest chambers of the earth, light can be carried not by one but by many, bound together in the belief that no life is too small to fight for.